Hope you all had a very great weekend. Welcome to a brand new Business and Markets Week. This is just taking us to the middle of the month of October. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frontier Opening Bell. I am both Sinamofaye. Let's take a very quick review of where the markets finished off over the weekend. Let's take it from Sunday, where the Egyptian stock market in Cairo fell very sharply, 2.63% on the EGX 30, taking the EGX 30 below the 30,000 reading to 29,954, a very huge profit taking on this big market north of the continent. But we take it back again towards the Friday, where the Nairobi stock market was up 1.12%. The Johannesburg stock market, as the GSE, up by 0.89%. The Nigerian market eked out 13 basis points on Friday, just as the market is set today to welcome a new oil and gas company, Aradel Holdings, which will be listed later today. It's another big day on the NGX, by the way, getting another oil and gas or hydrocarbon company listed on the exchange after that company exited NASD over-the-counter market finally on Friday. The BRVM was down roughly 0.25%, while the rest of the market, Ghana market, was a little bit flattish. Just a bit of a positive day, slightly as it were, for the Zimbabwe stock market for most of last week, but the market was down on Friday, as it were. That's just a summary of how we finished off the second Friday in the month. We've gotten today started, quite a whole lot on our agenda this week as we look at a number of headlines. But let's move on, starting with East and Central African corridor. The big news out of this region has to do with Ethio Telecom. Ethiopia is where all eyes are this week with the coming up of the Ethiopia Securities Exchange. According to news over the weekend, the Ethiopian telecommunications will be the first company to be listed. Charity, they say, begins at home. Of course, we expect a whole lot of others to be listed on that exchange, perhaps including Safaricom, but Ethio Telecom will be listed first, according to the stock exchange officials over the weekend. And because the government is selling 10%, so 10% of the company will be onboarded on the new ESX to kickstart this new exchange north of the continent. It's going to be a very big day, and we're looking forward to that, to get Ethiopia join the rest of the continent with a formal securities exchange. Kenyan banks are cutting loans to government parastatals by as much as 15%. Not a very pretty time, good time for the administration in Nairobi, by the way, trying to wiggle its way through its fiscal imbalances and trying to get the banking sector, which already has a very large exposure to non-performing loans among its peers within the region and the rest of the continent, to deal with that. So they're cutting loans to government parastatals or state-owned enterprises that are owing. The United Nations report is warning of food security crisis in Ethiopia. That report says Nigeria is among those countries that are facing food crisis in Africa, and a couple of others. You can look that up. Rwanda and Guinea have signed 12 cooperation agreements. It's a handshake between Rwanda in East Africa and Guinea at the far end of the West African continent. That cooperation, touching hand, highly encouraged. Let's move on to West Africa, where I mentioned today that the NGX will be playing host to a number of companies this week. First today will be the Aradel Holdings companies, which exited the NASD over-the-counter market. Is going to be listed today on the Nigerian exchange at about 702 naira per share. That was its closing price on the NASD over-the-counter market on Friday, when it finally delisted, self-delisted from that exchange. Aradel did a share reconstruction just about a few weeks ago. Settlement of those deals, including trades that were done in the final days of last week, would all be consummated today to make way for the new horizon, the new listing on the exchange. That will be around 2:30. Then I expect a fast behind listing to be held later after that. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we're expecting to see the Nigeria's fourth largest brewer, Champion Breweries, to come to the market for a fact behind its latest earnings and provide some measure of guidance as to where this brewing company is heading. Perhaps you've heard that Nigerian Breweries' right issue has been extended at least for another 1 or 2 weeks. That's 600 billion naira from Nigeria's largest brewer is still on the street for subscription from existing shareholders. Things are a little bit tough right now within the Nigerian space. We all know exchange rate, fuel prices, fuel subsidy removal, and the whole attendant economic and markets conundrum. They have the World Bank. Nigeria is expected to release Nigeria's first half of this year update report later this week. Keep an eye on that. It will give an idea of what the first 6 months look like and what the recommendations are for the second half of the year. And we're now just deep into that end from the World Bank now of Nigerian office. The AFDB group has appointed Nigerian-born Nena Nwabufo as a vice president in charge of regional development. And congratulations to you, madam. In Liberia, the telecoms authorities and Starlink, Elon Musk Starlink, have signed a landmark deal which will help provide Starlink internet services in Liberia. And finally, in the region, the BRVM indices are declining as SMB of Cote d'Ivoire leads losses. It's been roughly 20%, roughly that size, in declines for the BRVM composite since the third week of September 20th to be precise, based on the data we had over the weekend. The main index be down roughly 20%. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's touch base with the Southern African region, with the South African authorities moving forward with its oil and gas exploration activities. So the petroleum company bill for South Africa will be presented or submitted to the parliament this week, while Zambia is looking to raise power tariffs by as much as 115% to pay for countries' imports due to the drought that's hitting Zimbabwe very hardly, the effect of climate change. Malawi says it's reaching about 150 million kwacha from carbon credit trading, while Zimbabwe is set to start trading under the AfCFTA, that's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Congratulations also to the folks in Zimbabwe. Let's take it all the way up to North Africa. And of course, President Said in Tunisia has gotten another term in the office. So all eyes will be on how he moves the country's economy further. In the meantime, Romania and Egypt says they're boosting economic ties with focus on energy and other investment areas. And Oracle says they've appointed Walid Ahmed as a new country leader for Egypt, the continent's, the North Africa's biggest economy in that region. Morocco, however, is pledging continued support for its agriculture chains, despite the drought that the country is facing. The country says it will continue to support the agri sector just to keep food inflation under wraps. And the European Investment Bank and ONCF says they're partnering together to boost climate resilience on Morocco's railway, try to ensure that some of the rail system in Morocco become sustainable and give a little bit less, far less carbon emissions or carbon footprints. It's all in everyone's interest, by the way, to keep the energy and the planet green and resilient moving forward. We all need that, don't we? Welcome to a brand new Business and Markets Week here on Frontier Africa Reports. We're flagging this off with our Frontier opening bell. I am boasting them of quite a very busy week, and you just want to follow us day by day for all that we've got for you. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.